The highs and the lows of week one. We laughed, we cried, we managed not to min cash despite playing Brandon Ayuk and Kendrick Bourne in the same line. It's going to be a great, great fall, everyone.
I suffer from a debilitating condition known as atropic chokitis.
Peter's one of the greatest depositors I've ever seen.
Trust the process. Let's go. Let's go.
I got auto matched with Levitan. This is bullshit.
If I just go the other way in that 66, I win all the money. All the money.
If I had 150 lineups, I'd win too.
Process over results.
Illuminati make a bitch go crazy. I don't know which one of these my baby. Bust out AP, close 5 bullets in your head like KD. Bust it, bitch go bust it. And I had 10 pints with me in Russia.
Hey everyone.
Oh man, I miss this. I missed waking up groggy-eyed here to face the people. The portfolio review show is here. You guys have heard me talking about it over the course of the summer that I wanted to make some tweaks to this show. Of course, we will naturally still be talking about my DFS lineups, and boy, did I have a doozy of one yesterday. But we're also going to be taking a lap around the Underdog streets as well. I was taking a peek at my Best Ball Mania portfolio there, so we can go through some of those teams. We can check in on weekly winners. We are going to run the gamut here on Pete's portfolio review. It's going to be every Monday at 10 a.m. until 11. I do have a hard out, like not a fake hard out, a real hard out, because I am doing XM radio every Monday at 11. But for the next hour, we will tilt, we will take victory laps, we will eat L's, we will do all of it here on Pete's portfolio review. I do feel like we need to a little table setting around here. I mean, this isn't best ball breakfast, so there's no first draft, second draft. There's no delaying of feeding the ducks. The ducks need to be fed right away. So that is what we're going to do here. Let's, get into the frame of mind. People forget that feeding the ducks did originate here on the Monday morning show in season. I was reviewing my shitty lineups, getting very worked up, and I needed a tranquil music bed to kind of settle me, to calm me, to help me realize that we are dealing with a game with an oddly shaped ball that bounces in ways that we sometimes aren't happy about. This music will get us in the right frame of mind to review our portfolio. And I also need a hearty coffee pour as well. We might as well play the hits here. Get a hearty coffee pour, and then we can dig in. I saw some people saying in multiple spots that I always say like a loud after I drink my coffee. So I'm going to really try to lean into that for you guys here. Oh, there. Is that good for you guys? You like that? Holy cow. I tab over here and I see Mark is giving me $9.99 to offset the Rashad Penny shares. This is the funny ones of like, which stuff do you take L's on? Which stuff do you bag defend? Which stuff do you offer copium to? You take the Calvin Ridley L right away. Dude looks phenomenal. Like legit incredible out there. Gonna take a massive L on that. I'm not going to take the L on Rashad Penny yet. Like the Rashad Penny thesis is that he gives you like 3 to 4 30-point weeks during the season, and you don't really care when those come. Last year they came at the beginning of the season. The year before that, they came at the very end of the season. Rashad Penny, we need him out on the field eventually. All right. So I'm not gonna capitulate on 12th round picks or whatever quite yet. Welcome, Frog here, member for 2 months. Here's some bread for the ducks. Appreciate you. Speaking of as well, I know there was some slight confusion. Maybe I need to do a better job of trying to explain how all the premium shows are going to work. I did write about it in my newsletter on Friday, which I pinned. That's the best place to get updates. I got guys, it is very frustrating when people are like, what's your schedule? Is there tilt space? When's the cram? I wrote about it all in that post. It's right there pinned, the PO box, free newsletter. I'll do all my updates, my roundups. It literally every question you have about my schedule, it is explained there. But I will do it once more here for how the premium shows are going to work. If you are a hand builder and OptoBro member, you get access to everything. That's going to include Saturday After Dark shows. We're going to keep the Best Ball After Dark shows rolling. And then on Sunday, mornings, you get the cram show. We are going to shift that to 10:45 a.m., trying not to compete as much with Wake and Rake over at ETR, and then also carrying us through lock. So if you're a hand builder and Opto Bros, you get access to both of those shows. It ends up coming to $1 a show for the month because there's basically going to be 8 premium shows, 4 After Darks, 4 crams each month. If you just want to stay at the Value Hound tier, you will get access to the Best Ball After Dark shows if you don't care about the DFS crams. And then otherwise, you need to upgrade. If you're the club VIP or if you're doing randomizer for in the summer, you got to upgrade for the fall. So that is the rundown on how the YouTube memberships are going to work. Let me catch up on the chat. Yeah, Puka fucking Nacua. Absolutely incredible. Just some stunning stats from him. Like the market share, the 15 targets. I mean, absolutely incredible stuff. Also, low-key, Matthew Stafford looking really good there. You know, he was a guy that had some concern. He was going to be cooked without, you know, Cooper Kupp. But man, Puka Nacua. And I know this isn't a redraft show, but that's a empty the clip kind of player there, Puka Nacua. Let's see here. Tyler, oddly shaped ball, as you say. Yes, we're off to a fast start. GM to Tyler. Also shout out to everyone in the chat. Clay, who was at our ship chasing party in Vegas over the weekend. Very fun seeing all of you guys there live in the flesh. Jonathan says, I would just like it on record that some of us tried to intervene on Pete's Ridley fade after a 75th BBM draft. This is the beauty too about me drafting with other people, is that I ended up getting some Ridley. I forget what my final exposure on Ridley checked in at. We should go look at this actually, because I ended up drafting him a decent amount. Like I drafted him with Liam, all of this stuff. That's the beauty of drafting with other people. Sometimes Denny, you know, makes you pass on Jamar Chase and makes you take CMC instead. That's looking good for Denny after week 1. You know, sometimes, you know, Liam makes you take Calvin Ridley. So that is the beauty of drafting with other people. We'll check out the Best Ball Mania team in a second. I do want to start with DFS here, trying to catch up on this. I love how people coming in the chat. Did you take the Ridley L yet? I literally just took the Ridley L for you. But yes, I'm very happy for all of the Ridley backers. He looks incredible. He's a phenomenal story. I'm taking the L. I should have drafted more Calvin Ridley. All right. Should have drafted more Calvin Ridley. Let's look at my DFS lineup to start from yesterday, because I did commit this year. I said, I'm going to focus on one lineup. I talked about this on the show with JM to win last week. And I honestly really liked the focus I had in building yesterday. And I made a lineup that I really liked here. Let me pull it up on screen. So what was so tilting about this lineup is I had, well, first of all, the most tilting thing was I had Brandon Ayuk in my flex. The second lineups locked, I realized that I had the early guy in my flex. Obviously, it should have been AJ Brown or Jalen Waddle in my flex. I went on Twitter to get out in front of the PR disaster, saying I would send all winnings back if I win with a guy in my flex. Spoiler alert, there were no winnings to send back. But then Brandon Ayuk immediately scores a touchdown. And I got to be one of those results over process bros. We did it. We get to get away with playing a guy at our flex when he ends up being one of the best plays on the slate. So minus the fact that he was in the flex, Brandon Ayuk at 4%. Let's see. I have the Deposit Kingdom League. Let me go over to the SPY. Oh, here we go. 2.6% in the SPY here. Drops 35.9 points. I also get Kendrick Bourne as my bring back in the late game, going opposite this Jalen Hurts stack, 3.2%. He drops 24 points. And there, I don't know if there's anything more tilting in DFS than when you nail the cheap guys, right? It's one thing when you pay up for the studs and they crush, and then you take some swings on the punts and they don't hit. But when you nail the low-owned smashes in Brandon Ayuk and Kendrick Bourne and can't even sniff the cash line, God, we're fucking back. We are back to tilting this beautiful, disgusting, demoralizing game. We also had Travis Etienne and Brian Robinson going in the early slates. Travis Etienne at 9%, getting to 21.4. He was my favorite running back play on the slate yesterday. Showed off his explosiveness on that big touchdown run at the end of the game. Brian Robinson was fine. Didn't hurt you or kill you here at 11.8. And then I'm sitting here and I'm like, look at all this sweet, sweet PMR. I am just bathing in PMR. I am going to feed my family with PMR, Jalen Hurts, A.J. Brown, Dallas Goedert, Kendrick Bourne, Jalen Waddle, Raiders defense, all going late. Clear eyes, full PMR, can't lose, right? Wrong. We lost. Jalen Hurts, 13.5 points. Dallas Goedert with a bagel. A.J. Brown with a snowflake, 14.9. Jalen Waddle playing second fiddle to Tyreek Hill. And then Raiders D whatever. But man, I thought for sure, I was like, I'm going to have a sweat. And then I was like, well, I'm at least going to min cash. That's nice. And then I realized, no, I'm not going to cash it all. And that is how I realized how much I missed this beautiful game of DFS. Yeah, Tutu was the other one there. Incredible. Tutu looked awesome. Yes, we are back. But I legitimately enjoyed the process of building this lineup and the focus of just being on one lineup that it gave me after the cram. I did think I made a really good lineup. And the other thing that was really fun to be able to do, and let me see if I can change my screen share here for a sec so you can see this, is with the solver on ETR, I was able to, you can put in your hand-built lineups and then simulate it against the field and look at a sim ROI. And so I've been building some of these other lineups here, some Sam Howells, some Trevor Lawrences. And you can see here that they weren't yielding very good sim ROI, but then the lineup I did play had the highest sim ROI, the highest cash rate here. So I'm going to enjoy using this tool as an ability to kind of check my hand building work. Because to me, that's the funnest thing now, is I've never been like a true opto bro of wanting to, just spit out a bunch of lineups and yada, yada. But the idea of being able to hand build lineups and then check your work against the math, and you can also run 2v2s and check out the simulated ROI there. It was a nice confirmation there. And you can see I was kind of messing around with a Deebo Samuel lineup that featured Greg Dulcich, but ended up going with the Brandon Ayuk lineup because I wanted to get up to Goddard to double stack with Hurts. Obviously, Goddard completely flopped, but nice to use the solver there to help things out. And that was my lineup in the SPY. Let's see, I had 138.5 points. And let's see what cashed. 367 spots cash, 144. So yeah, I was 6 points off the cash line. Would have been nice to get a min cash Pete going, but it was not meant to be. It was not meant to be. So it feels so good to be back to donating, depositing in the DFS streets. Let's see here. Let's go check out the Deposit Kingdom Weekly League. So this is a weekly rake-free league that our friends at DraftKings are giving to the Deposit Kingdom community. I will be sharing this link in the Deposit Kingdom Discord each week. Actually, right after this show, I'll probably email. We had only, I put it at 200 entries for this first week because longtime viewers of the program will know nothing makes me cringe more than having to promote a rake-free listener league late in the week. So I always like to scale it up accordingly, but this filled really early. I think it filled Thursday or Friday. So we'll probably jack it up to 300 entries for this week, see how that goes. That link will always be in the announcement section of the Deposit Kingdom Discord. So if you want to play in the Deposit Kingdom rake-free $10 single entry league each week, you got to be in the Deposit Kingdom Discord. I got that link down below, and that will go in the announcements early in the week. Congratulations here to A Speller, who took this one down with 181.42 points. Had an Anthony Richardson to Josh Downs stack there. Josh Downs, 3,100. Played chalk Calvin Ridley, chalk Chris Olave, chalk Tyreek Hill. So jammed in all of the best wide receiver plays there, but then got unique here at running back. CMC 1.5%, Miles Sanders 5.5%, Luke Musgrave at 10%, and then Bengals defense there. Pretty normal lineup here, I would say, but just getting the huge games from CMC and Tyreek Hill, pushing him over the top. So congratulations. I see some familiar names up here. We got Short Gamer TV finishing at 7. We got Tricky in here at 11. John Boy Jackson. It looks like Calvin Ridley and Anthony Richardson were some of the mainstays, and obviously the two at a Tyreek Hill at the top of the board here. I like this lineup in second from A. Casper. If I was going to do a Jags thing, I wanted to onslaught it with 3 or 4 guys. I love the Trevor Lawrence, ETN, Ridley, Ingram there. Just making the big bet on that offense. Bring it back with Deion Jackson. I don't even think you needed to force it with Deion Jackson, but I mean, at 4,100, I kind of get it. The real coup d'etat here, though, the Puka Nacua at 1%, 24.9. Probably knew all the Deposit Kingdom slappies were going to play Tutu Atwell, even though he got there as well. But nice play there. Of course, you get Tyreek Hill and a Keenan Allen mini correlation. And people were wondering in the cram, what would the Commanders' defensive ownership be here in the Deposit Kingdom? 28%. So a little less than some of the super small field stuff. One really interesting thing is, and I was talking to Leone about this a little bit, that now that they are more deep in the sim stuff, some of the sims showing that the super chalk defenses in the right lineups, obviously, are not as bad as maybe our knee-jerk reactions would assume. So that'll be an interesting thing to track this year. Some of the math pointing to those chalk defenses being okay in the right circumstances. I still have a hard time like wrapping my head around that being true, but I am not going to argue with the math on it. We'll see if as the season goes and there's more time to kind of dissect how those sims and those interactions are working to, illuminate why that might be the case, but very interesting there. And in a lineup like this, where really unique for the most part, you did have the Tyreek Hill and Calvin Ridley, but a ton of other really low-owned plays, Puka, Ingram, Deion Jackson. So that's the Deposit Kingdom Weekly League. I do need to shout out the Swolecast League did cash. So every week on the Swolecast, we build a lineup on a Wednesday. We don't tinker with it. There's no changes. We're the ultimate first look show, and we crushed it. Jordan Love to Luke Musgrave. What else did we have in here? Tutu Atwell, because Short King Summer lives on. We played Justin Jefferson and Tyreek Hill. 168.1. I should have just rolled this one out in the SPY. I should have just rolled this lineup out in the SPY. The Swolecast remains undefeated with our first look lineup builds. Happy to cash in the fast start to the NFL kickoff, powered by Fast Twitch. Got to seek out all of those free rolls, and you got to tail the Swolecast first look lineups. Yeah, let's do this right now as we kind of transition into maybe reviewing some of the underdog and best ball action. J.K. Dobbins going down. That one just absolutely hurt. It's going to come every year. There's going to be those injuries, and J.K. Dobbins was absolutely going to smash. I think I saw a tweet. He had like 89% of the opportunities and had 2 targets. Obviously would have had another goal line look or 2 that Justice Hill came in after he got hurt. Just really, really unfortunate stuff, because the writing was on the wall for just a massive J.K. Dobbins season. He was a guy that I was aggressively targeting at the end of draft season. Like, I'd found myself a little underweight just because in that early 6th round of drafts, I was constantly grabbing wide receivers at the beginning of drafting summer. And then to have him be a priority target down the stretch and to get, blanketed, or not blanketed, but to get injured like that is just brutal. So yeah, it's about 3 years too late, but Justice Hill appears to have finally arrived. But yeah, man, J.K. Dobbins. Of all the stuff yesterday, like, I can let the the bad takes roll off my shoulder, but the injuries, you feel so helpless to them, and you remember what an absolutely cruel game this is. So enjoy your healthy players while you got them, because that will not always be the case. I feel you, Yosh. Absolutely brutal run out. Yeah, he is incredibly snake bitten. And it is crazy to think, like, I was thinking about this yesterday with Javonte Williams, who his usage was like genuinely shocking to me, because not only was Javonte Williams coming off of this ACL, but it was the PCL, it was the LCL. The Twitter doctors continually reminded us, hey, this isn't your run-of-the-mill ACL. And then we saw with a guy like J.K. Dobbins, he came back last year after a year off, and he still wasn't 100%, even after 3 to 4 games down the stretch. And then everyone tells you it's the second year that these guys come back. And then to see Javonte Williams lead the Broncos in carries and to be playing well ahead of Samaje Perine, which most of us expected by the end of the year, but not right out of the gate in week one. It does just kind of drive home how much randomness there is, even with these guys' recovery timelines, their individual bodies and how they can respond to this stuff. But yeah, J.K. Dobbins not running pure like Javonte Williams on this injury stuff, because we're getting to the point now too where it's like you worry about his full career and being able to bounce back from stuff like this. And it's why he was doing kind of his soft hold out, hold in or whatever, because he wanted to get paid, because he knows that this is such a reality of playing. So yeah, I'm gutted for J.K. Dobbins, and not even my J.K. Dobbins bags, just a brutal run out for a really, really fun player there. This is a really bad take. Javonte had 4 catches. Perine was used a lot. This is, you guys, we're all going to be like eating some L's, and we got to be like objective around here. Javonte's usage was extremely bullish. And this is someone who was drafting a ton of Perine, who thought Perine was an excellent pick at his ADP. But you have your head in the sand if you're trying to discount what Javonte Williams did yesterday. He was catching passes. He looked great in the run game. I don't really know where that take is coming from. Yeah, let's tilt this one. Drake London, 1 target was brutal. I mean, Arthur Smith just absolutely fully back. Kyle Pitts, guess what? Kyle Pitts ended up with that 1 catch for 44 yards, which saved the bagel. But you see how this offense is operating with Tyler Allgeier looking awesome, Bijan looking awesome. And I think we kind of know what we're headed for here, especially in games where they can control the clock. And I think that's what I kept thinking through last year, right? Is, hey, the Falcons will eventually get down in games. Eventually they'll be forced in some negative game scripts where they have to pass to Drake London and Kyle Pitts. But then Arthur Smith, who you got to tip your cap to him, despite being a stubborn boomer, is really good at designing run games. Did that sound like I know ball when I said that? I mean, his run games are really good. And you see the way he's splitting kind of the usage between Allgeier and Bijan, using Bijan so much in the passing game, and then using Allgeier more as his plotter between the tackles. And plotter is, that's too pejorative of a descriptor for Tyler Allgeier, who's just awesome, but using him for some of those bruiser back carries. And we're in for another painful year with Drake London and Kyle Pitts. I am happy that I didn't end up massively overweight on either of those guys, but they're still going to have their moments. They're still going to have their big weeks. But the Atlanta Falcons told us who they are last year. They told us who they were again yesterday. And I think it's time we just wave the white flag until Arthur Smith moves on to another profession. Yeah, and this is the thing. People again get like defensive about the Bijan stuff. The Bijan or Allgeier being good is not mutually exclusive with Bijan having an awesome season. That's the whole point. There's 2 things, right? There's one, we've always said, 2 running backs. A backfield can support 2 running backs if it's just concentrated on those 2 running backs. It's when a third back is getting into the mix that it gets dicey. That's kind of what we're starting to see in Seattle, right? Where it's like, holy cow, DJ Dallas is on the field a little bit. That could get messy for those guys. But when it's concentrated to just 2 guys, and again, the team told us that yesterday with Cordero Patterson being inactive. I mean, that was pretty crazy. Yeah, we got this joker who we're then going to make inactive. But when they run the ball this much, when the offensive line and the run scheme is this good, and the talents in Allgeier and Bijan are this good, it's not going to matter. Both are going to crush. The big difference, though, is Bijan cost a 1st-round pick and Tyler Allgeier cost a 13th-round pick. I mean, Tyler Allgeier, if this keeps up, even at a 60 to 70% clip relative to what he did yesterday, he's going to be a league winner at those prices. So if you were drafting a ton of Tyler Allgeier, pat yourself on the back here. Yeah, this is a very good summary of it here from Bullock. Arthur Smith is really good at designing run plays, but is stone cold terrible at using draft capital efficiently, which is the case for a lot of these coaches, right? I mean, let's segue over to the Patriots here. Bill Belichick seems to be a pretty good X's and O's coach, or at least he was at one point. Just an awful draft and talent evaluator. Couldn't help but notice Tyquan Thornton not seeing the field despite them being down. Devontae Parker having Demario Douglas play ahead of him. I mean, what a coffin scene for Tyquan Thornton. FF Doom taking the victory lap on 24% Allgeier. That'll do. That'll do for sure. See, pat yourself on the back. There you go. Rini, check my pinned post for my schedule if you have questions about my schedule. Let's look at let's head over to Underdog. Head over to Underdog. And actually, right off the top, the first thing I want to do is shout out our guy, Copper Prices, here in the Dog Bowl qualifier. Copper Prices is headed to Miami. This is the live final contest that Underdog is offering. I ended up getting a couple teams in there. Had one team that was close, 95 points. And by close, I mean, relatively sniffing the top 1% of lineups. But Copper Prices here: Anthony Richardson, Travis Etienne, Aaron Jones, Tyreek Hill, Michael Pittman, Gerald Everett. Love kind of just the simplicity of the correlation here. Richardson to Pittman. You bring it back with Travis Etienne, and then you play some one-offs there. I guess a mini correlation with Tyreek Hill and Gerald Everett. 3 points from your tight end, which you did not need tight end points yesterday to succeed. Just a truly low-scoring week at tight end. Hunter Henry, I think, at the top, and Hayden Hurst were your top 2 scoring tight ends. But shout out to Copper Prices, a man that I trolled for having 82% Calvin Ridley. Not only does that 82%, first of all, that's still patently insane. I just want to point that out. Has nothing to do with Calvin Ridley. I wouldn't want 82% Justin Jefferson. That's the point of that being insane. But holy cow, have yourself a week, Copper Prices. Calvin Ridley bags looking like flames. And then you know what? Maybe I just make the pivot off of Calvin Ridley to Travis Etienne in my Battle Royale lineup and win a ticket to Miami. Incredible stuff there. I didn't get to play a ton of Battle Royale this week. I was traveling. I was in Vegas where I couldn't draft. So I only had a couple entries. I will definitely ramp that up. I did have on Fantasy Life my Hidden Gems piece looking at Battle Royale. I did tout Brandon Ayuk in there as a guy who was going undrafted. So I'll have those articles out at the end of the week. And shout out to Chad, I believe it's Mashke. Let me know if I'm pronouncing your last name correctly. He compiles draft data there and helping us find those players who aren't getting drafted at a big clip. The pick'em slip that we built on stream yesterday, it was off to such a good start here. And then, of course, J.K. Dobbins gets injured and DeAndre Swift doesn't play. So other than that, Mrs. Lincoln, the play was great. Travis Etienne higher, Bijan higher, Tank Bigsby lower. We will continue trying to build some pick'em slips on Sundays. Let's head over, though. Let's look at a little best ball here. We said we were going to do it. We called off the FBI this year. Let's head in here to our best ball mania. Right away, I noticed at the top here, the team I drafted with Tom Everett Scott, who I coincidentally got to bump into in Vegas. He swung by the ship chasing party. He was out drafting a charity team at the NFFC over the weekend. This team we drafted on my stream looking pretty good. Lamar Jackson and Brock Purdy. We had Aaron Jones, James Cook, Gibson Bigsby, Gus Edwards, and Savon Ahmed at running back. Wide receivers: Justin Jefferson, Brandon Ayuk, Zay Flowers, Odell, Juju, Jalen Hyatt, Isaiah Hodgins, and wait for it, Puka, Nacua. Tight end Mark Andrews and Greg Dulcich. So to be in first without Lamar Jackson and Mark Andrews scoring points, pretty fun team there. I would love nothing more than to send Tom Everett Scott $1.5 million after we ship Best Ball Mania. Can see some of these other teams. Apparently a team I drafted on the Swolecast is up here. A Tua, Sam Howell, Desmond Ritter team. Ooh, Devon Achane, 0 points. But we do have the Kenny Gainwell here. Jalen Warren, Kenny Gainwell, Roshan Johnson, Chuba Hubbard. If we're going to take a bunch of L's today, if we are going to take some victory laps, Chuba looked better than Miles Sanders, guys. Full stop. Chuba looked better than Miles Sanders, and that is going to be a pretty gross backfield split, and that's going to hurt a lot more at Miles Sanders prices than it is at Chuba prices. This team has Tyreek Hill, Devontae Smith, Drake London, yikes, JSN, Jahan Dotson, and Quentin Johnson, Mark Andrews, Pat Freiermuth there. So this team still has some intriguing firepower. Basically, all of the Tua and Tyreek stacks are going to be bubbling up to the top of these teams. I did the math on how many teams I have advancing right now, and it was at just under 16%. So far through 1 week, and obviously we still have Monday night to go, we are at about just expectation for how many teams we would expect to advance. Be around a little over 16%. That will be our benchmark throughout the drafting season. A lot of people ask me what would be a good rate. And I said, if I can draft around or advance right around expectation or slightly below after streaming all these, I will be very happy. So far, so good here. Looks like a couple of the teams I drafted at the beginning of the year are doing decent. My 6th draft on the club here. This was a Tua Dak team. Tony Pollard, Josh Jacobs, Samaje P. Ryan, Raheem Mostert, Tank Bigsby, and Chuba. Pretty nice run out week 1 for those running backs. Wide receivers, Tyreek Hill, Christian Kirk, Chris Godwin, Mike Evans, Zay Jones, Michael Gallup, Marvin Mims, Jaden Reed, and then tight ends Hawkinson and Ferguson. That team could cook a little bit there. I like the Tua Dak combination. The Cowboys, of course, not having to throw it all yesterday. Let's see here. Is this a true zero RB team I drafted on Splash Play number 26? A Trevor Lawrence Tua team. Cam Akers, Devon Achane, Roschon, Tyler Allgeier, Singletary, Hubbard, and Pierre Strong. Not sure how I feel about that Akers pick, but it does have Devontae Adams, Jalen Waddle, Watson, Godwin, Ayuk, Zay Jones, Slayton. How is this team in first place? This team doesn't even seem that good. It's the Allgeier pick there that's carrying this team, and of course, Brandon Ayuk. We are at that point, too, where it's like all you needed was 1 or 2 of those surprise performers, and Allgeier and Ayuk, Puka Nacua, or a Tyreek Hill Tua, and your team is going to be near the top of the leaderboards here. John Warner, 90% of the way through week 1 advance rate chat. I heart new portfolio. Pete, hey, we weren't lying. We'll figure out the exact format of the show as we go along, but I'm enjoying just bouncing around with a frantic, manic energy. What would I need to apologize about Allgeier for? There was nothing to apologize. The problem with Spags was aggressively drafting Allgeier before the draft. Allgeier was an awesome pick where he was going after the signing. It's always about price and knowing that certain teams are more likely to draft running backs that could have a bomb go off in their backfield. I trolled Spags about Allgeier before the NFL draft. Let me pour some more coffee. Do you track your advance rate by week throughout the season? I didn't previously, but I got to have something to fucking talk about on here. So yes, I'll track my advance rate throughout the season. It's probably not a healthy exercise. You certainly don't have to do it. It's going to have no bearing on how you ultimately do, but it's a fun thing to check in on. Let's see. Let's go look at where's our, hang on a second. Where did, why am I thought for sure, is the season long leaderboard, is that only on mobile? Where are my Underdog thought leaders? I saw that on mobile. Is it not on desktop? Can someone drop me a link to that or let me know? Because I'm confused about that. I could have sworn I took a screenshot of it on mobile and I didn't, I wanted to look at the live leaderboard. Yeah, I'll go to weekly winners in a second. I just wanted to check the Best Ball Mania regular season leaderboard, but I'm realizing I need someone to let me know in the chat if that's only on mobile. All right, they can't find it. Rini, I'm begging you for the second time asking about my schedule. You got to read my post. It's pinned in the chat. You can go to the P.O. Box newsletter. Every single question you have about my schedule is answered there. It's the last time I'm telling you guys, if you have a question about my schedule, I promise you I already answered it. I promise you. All right. Let's see. Liam showed it on his stream. Maybe there's a direct link. Okay, whatever. Yeah, I see it on mobile here. Regular season, view the top. Okay, so it is here. There's an actual page. I just have to send myself this link, and then I should be able to view it here. 1 second. We'll pull up this regular season. Yeah, they do have a splash page for it here, so we can actually pull this up. Here we go. So the URL for this, I'll drop it in the chat if you guys want it for desktop. It is underdogfantasy.com/splash/bestballmania4. Here you go. Let's check this out, and we will bookmark this going forward. Regular season leaderboard. Rich Z0974, 190 points at the top. Is anyone in the chat in the top? Of course, Copper Prices here in 19th place. If you have 82% Calvin Ridley and you're not, top 20, probably need to reevaluate your process. No, very nice work there. I don't think we have any teams in the, what do we have? We have a team in 4,744th, a team in 6,360th, and a team in 7,645th. GG to Peter Overzet here. What about Underzet? Who were some of our favorite meme accounts there? There's an Underzet. Checkers Liam. Checkers Liam is crushing. Look at that. 3 lineups in the top 2,000 for Checkers Liam. Who else should we, how's our guy Daily Rojo doing? Can you imagine? Can you imagine this guy winning again? Ed Garvey. Oh, that's a great call. That's a great call. Come on. No Ed Garvey. No Ed Garvey. I just tried Underzet. I didn't see anything. What's the real Checkers Liam looking like? Ooh, pretty weak for Chess Liam there. Yep. Yeah, unfortunately, I don't think any of our meme accounts are at the top here, but we will continue to check in on the weekly leaderboard throughout the season. The weekly winner stuff is very fun to look at. I had only 2 teams here near the top. Let's take a look at the winning lineups, at least right now, heading into Monday Night Football. I ended up getting 66 entries in weekly winners. Wish I could have gotten to more. The winning lineup here looks pretty standard from like a construction standpoint. Like if you told me this was a Best Ball Mania lineup, I would have been like, makes sense. You have a Tua to Tyreek Hill stack there. You have Jared Goff to Jameson Williams. I do think it's another reminder of how little we know, because Jameson Williams, right? When you take Jameson Williams, the whole thing we would say would be like, oh, you put Jameson Williams on the weekly winners teams where you're trying to optimize for late in the season, right? And then this guy's going to go out most likely and ship, or at least finish very highly with Jameson Williams in week 1. Here, his scores, Hayden Hurst at tight end. And obviously, I think a week like this is where the elite tight ends in weekly winners are just going to be wiped out because none of them performed well. So the late tight end builds are going to look nice. They also have Rashid Shaheed, Jacoby Myers, Brandon Ayuk, and Tyreek Hill. Surprised that Calvin Ridley didn't sneak in there, but I guess the Brandon Ayuk, Jacoby Myers, and Rashid Shaheed looking good. And then Aaron Jones and Derrick Henry at running back, Tua at quarterback. My hunch is this ends up being one of the more lower scoring weeks of the season at weekly winners. Just when you look at, we didn't get any of the elite quarterbacks separating in a massive way. Maybe we get Josh Allen tonight. None of the elite tight ends. So this was a good week for late round quarterback and late round tight end builds. The other team here at the top, a Tua team, Aaron Jones, a staple on these lineups, Tyreek Hill, Jacoby Myers. There's a Calvin Ridley, Rashid Shaheed. I do think it's cool too to see how there actually aren't many dupes up here. I don't see any dupes. Here's a few people that have the same score. Is this like the same team? Not even the same team. So even though the cohort or the cluster of players who performed well bubble up to the top, just so many unique combinations around the 18 draft picks there. So nice to know that it isn't hard to solo ship when you do land on the right pieces there. Let's see my team that was up here. I obviously was doing a ton of single onesies. This was a Tua team with TJ Hawkinson as my onesies at the tight ends. This team had Tyreek Hill, Calvin Ridley, Olave, Sutton, Nico, Pickens, Mims, Deontay Hardy, and Jalen Hyatt. Yeah, when Olave gets outscored by Shaheed, that's just going to be hard for this to be a really good lineup. Taking some zeros at running back here, but had ETN and only 4 points from my other running back and Jalen Warren. This one was definitely optimized for later in the season with that 0 RB room there. Let's see. This other one, this is a gross team here. God, this one's really gross. Brock Purdy, Derek Carr, and Kyler. So it was a punt QB build. Went hyper fragile at running back with Ramondre, J.K. Dobbins, Kenneth Gainwell, and Devon Achane. What a roller coaster of emotions this running back room is. Kenneth Gainwell, yay. J.K. Dobbins, Devon Achane, boo. But it had Hill, Ayuk, Olave, Devontae Smith, and has some decent guys there coming on down the stretch. But we'll keep some eyes on weekly winners. No sweats for this week, but congratulations to the people at the top of the leaderboard here. Oh, you're right. I do have James Cook going, guys. We're still live. We're still live to climb up the leaderboard. All right, so what do we need here? James Cook, we have 144 points. So we're 44 points off the first place line, just a casual 50 burger from James Cook, and we still probably finish like top 50. Trust me, I remember that there is a game tonight. I was not cashing any $10 checks, Donnie. Don't you worry. I have not spent the $10 that I have not rightfully earned yet. All right. What else do we have going here? Was there anything else I wanted to look at? We looked at our pick'ems. We looked at our weekly winners. We could check and see. I always think it's fun to look at some of the randomizer drafts and see if any of those are doing decently here. Where are my regular drafts? Oh, these are my non-best ball mania teams here. Drafted a Mastiff team with some guys in the ship chasing Discord. A really brutal start for us here at running backs. J.K. Dobbins, we lose him for the season. DeAndre Swift, Jeff Wilson, and Kendre Miller. This was obviously before the Jeff Wilson news. So rough going for that Mastiff team where you're going to need DeAndre Swift to bounce back there. One of my Rottweilers is doing good, it looks like. I'm in first place in this Rottweiler. Oh yeah, I did this one as a slow draft. This was one of the last drafts I completed. A Tua, Tannehill, Ritter, Breece Hall, Kenneth Walker, Javonte Williams, Rashad Penny, Achane, Spears. There, a little bit of a mixed bag at running back, but Breece Hall, Kenneth Walker, and Javonte should be able to hold down the fort. Tyreek Hill, Devontae Smith, Zay Flowers, Treylon Burks, Romeo Dobbs. Where's the guy who chirped me about Romeo Dobbs every single pick? I know Christian Watson was out, but Dobbs looked really good. That offense, I think similar to kind of like the Javonte Williams thing where like the low key, like underlying performance was very bullish. I think the Packers are going to surprise people. For them to look that competent on offense without Christian Watson, I think was really encouraging. I think Musgrave, Watson, Dobbs are all in line for really nice years. And Love looks pretty comfortable out there. This team has Mark Andrews and Sam Laporta. Man, what a brutal week it was at the tight end position. Just an absolute brutal week at tight end. Let's see. Anything else in this portfolio? Oh, I was going to look at some of the randomizer teams here. Let's see. My randomizer with Jake Trowbridge is in first place. Joe Burrow, Jordan Love, Derrick Henry, Aaron Jones, Cam Akers. So if you guys aren't familiar with the randomizer, these are drafts where all 18 picks are dictated by the wheel. And so if you're in this draft, producer Phil in the hopper, you're getting beat right now by a randomizer team, Phil. How do you feel about that? Burn zone, index, suspicion, Willis. You guys need to do better because the wheel determined all these picks. Look at this 4 tight end build. I think Jake was crushing the prompts though, so he got to make most of these picks. There's no big landmines in there. The randomizer with Kendall doing decent as well. I think Kendall succeeded in a lot of the prompts, although she did have to take D. Eskridge there. My Underdog Cardio Club live Brooklyn draft. How we doing here? Shout out Atlanta Falcons in here. I'm hovering around in the middle. Austin Eckler, though. Austin Eckler, Barkley, Ramondre, and James Conner. Oh. All right, let me check in back on the chat here. Tight end has been brutal for years, it seems. It is kind of like, the one thing I think I heard Lord Reeves say it a couple years back too, where because when you hit on that elite tight end, the advantages are just so outsized and so massive. I think psychologically we trick ourselves into thinking that the position on the whole is like better. And in reality, we should be approaching it with almost the same type of lens as the way Pat approaches the running backs with legendary upside. You know, where it's like, these guys are probably going to hurt. They're probably going to bust. But if you nail the 1 or 2 running backs each year that have the legendary upside seasons, you're going to smash. But other than that, the position can get mired with injuries, and injury rates for tight ends are pretty comparable alongside running backs, if not worse, it seems like. So who knows? Maybe this ends up being the year of late round tight end. If it is, I think around here, there's going to be a lot of teams, because that was the meta, right? For anyone who was consuming a ton of best ball content, drafting a lot of teams, it was like, holy cow, look at all these starting tight ends available in the late rounds. Hunter Henry and Hayden Hurst, your 2 highest scoring tight ends on the week. Those guys were available. And I wouldn't be shocked to see Tyler Conklin pop up there tonight as well. We'll have to see how Dalton Kincaid does tonight, and see if we get any more Liam and Leone victory laps. Did I do any eliminator drafts? I did a couple. I actually think I only got in one, and then it filled. Let me go back and see where my eliminator drafts are. What tab are those under? Here it is. Yeah, I only had one eliminator draft. That was when it filled on me right away. And holy cow, I narrowly avoid getting beat. Oh yeah, this team was dead. It has Jonathan Taylor. Jonathan Taylor, DeAndre Swift, and Cooper Kupp. So there you go. My eliminator life is going to be very short-lived. Jonathan Taylor, Cooper Kupp. Yeah, buy the dip on those guys. I'm in a guillotine league with Tom Everett Scott and Denny and JJ and that. And I'm out in that one too. One and done because I drafted Cooper Kupp and then I forgot to set my lineup. So if you want a testimonial or an advertisement for best ball, look no further than the guillotine lineup I forgot to set. Man, I did a really good job of scaling back my managed leagues. Over on Ship Chasing, we have Stephanie Miller. She is driving all of our waiver process this year, which is a massive help. She helped us catch a lot of things yesterday. But then I've pared down my managed leagues to like 3 or 4 that I have to do on my own. One of them I'm out on now. Guillotine is done. And I'm in like one other dynasty, one other keeper league, and one other redraft league. But yes, year by year, I will eventually get down to not having to ever place another waiver bid ever again. The year of Dan Zach. Yeah, I didn't get to any little eliminators. I think I mentioned this on a few streams. Like I was low-key maybe not blasting off as hard as a lot of you were. Like when you guys were max entering all the puppies, the little eliminators, like I needed to decompress on the weekends. I didn't want to be in a million slow drafts. I wasn't doing the Karain and loading up all these slow drafts and, you know, having to be Dan Zach and set my alarm to wake up and do them. I just said, I'm not going to do that to myself. And I appreciate the grind. I absolutely do. But I tried to basically either do more of the mid to high stakes slow drafts on my own, where I just had 1 or 2 going, or just streaming my stuff. So I didn't end up doing a ton of the puppies. You can see here at the rest of my action here, we had some Mastiffs, a couple Bulldogs, Rottweiler, the Dalmatians, maxed the Pit Bull, maxed the Chow Chow, but only did 1 golden, 5. We maxed a couple of those Poodles, but look at my puppy entries, 15 puppies, 10 puppies, 5 slow puppies, 1 Chihuahua. Can I ship the Chihuahua on a single bullet? A couple Poms, but I wasn't. It was a summer of mental health. I wasn't on the clock every single second, believe it or not. How am I doing in the Pit Bull here? Got a couple teams in first place, 123, 134. A Tua Jordan Love Stafford team. Miles Sanders, why are you taking him, Pete? Rashad Penny, Jalen Warren, Kenneth Gainwell, Raheem Mostert, Kyron Williams. I will say week 1, probably a big I don't know, feather in the cap for cheap hand cucking. Like when you think about, Brian Robinson and Antonio Gibson, Brian Robinson looked really good from a usage perspective. Kenneth Gainwell, Rashad Penny here, right? You got to crack a few eggs to make an omelet. Penny looks like a whiff right now. And then Kenneth Gainwell looks like one of the smash 0 RB picks. If you took Devon Achane and Raheem Mostert, or you took Raheem Mostert and Jeff Wilson to get that production from the backfield at those costs, even spending 2 picks on it, I think is looking pretty good and is a real testament to just correlation benefits beyond like the handcuffing misnomer there. Although this team has Cooper Kupp, so I don't know how that's going to work out. But it is fun to look at some of these teams that can survive some of the duds. So you miss Cooper Kupp and Mark Andrews, but you have Tutu, Romeo Dobbs, Brandon Ayuk, Hopkins, didn't even use Waddle here. So some of these teams are fun. Kyron Williams, looking really good as far as a late round pick. I know he got a lot of steam as a popular late round pick there towards the end. That's looking good. Oh, look at this team. This is one of my lost bullets that I had to name. I auto drafted 4 QBs in this one. Still in 6th place though. Anthony Richardson, Aaron Rodgers, Jared Goff, Brock Purdy. A little worried about the rest of my positions there. What's this other team? Trevor Lawrence, Brock Purdy, Desmond Ridder, Antonio Gibson, P. Ryan, Achane, Allgeier, Kendre Miller, Chuba. Pretty good start to the season for 0 RB, like thinking about Allgeier, Kenny Gainwell, Mostert, Brian Robinson, a lot of those cheap committee backs looking pretty good there. Wide receiver, Jefferson, Debo, Ayuk, Christian Kirk, Quentin Johnston, Jaden Reed, Tyquan Thornton. Every time I see that name, what an ultimate buzzkill. Ball is life. So do any DFS players actually make their own lineups, or do they let the computer do it for them? I never play DFS. I mean, the top professional DFS players use a computer. I think even a lot of the finesse players or the more hand builder types are still using tools to supplement them. Like there is no such thing as a phone shitter hand builder pro. It just does not exist. So that's the kind of thing I was talking about, using like the solver to put in the team and actually look at the sim ROI there as a way to check your work. So it's like you still get the benefits of hand building, which is what I enjoy, getting the plays that you like in, trying to build a lineup that projects for a ton of ceiling, but doesn't have too much ownership. But then actually checking the math, do these interactions in these sims play out in a way where this lineup can succeed over, a larger sample. So I think that is the next wave. Even if you're like me, a hand builder, you do have to capitulate and be using these tools, using the math to make sure that you can compete with the people who are exclusively using the math. And then this is something we've been talking about on Lulz, right? Like we had this show, it was 2 weeks ago because we were off this week, questioning, is DFS dying? Because so many people are now using these sim tools. But I do really think the marrying of the two, the blending of it, the balling plus using the sim stuff is where it gets really powerful. Because you can test your assumptions in real time, right? I can say, oh, you want to fade the highest owned defense on the slate, but you can run and test the sim against using the Commanders and then using, say, the Cardinals D instead. And that's what makes it so fun, is you can have your assumptions and then actually 1v1, 2v2 them, rerun them in the simulation and see how they work. So I do think that's kind of like the next stage of hand building here. Mathology, can we escape the wide receiver avalanche with New York Giants? So I will fully admit, guys, I did not watch a second of that game last night. I guess I don't know ball. I was writing the Fantasy Life newsletter for today, and that took me a good chunk of time for week 1. So I didn't watch a single bit of that game. I have no idea what was happening with the Giants. Was it their offensive line was just a disaster? So yeah, I'm sorry. I have no I know ball takes about the Giants other than it looked awful. Why does someone keep calling me right now? Oh yeah, this is a good plug here from John. Did he say OTC, Fridays Daily? So again, check my schedule. It's pinned here. But yes, we have a new show on Friday. Fridays are going to be a very fun doubleheader around here because at 2 p.m., we will have the Block Party DFS Strategy Show with JM to Win. which we did last year. The first one was more of an evergreen show just because we had to record it early because I was going to Vegas. But going forward, those will be slate-specific breakdowns from a GPP perspective every 2 p.m. And then immediately following that, we're going to go from my channel over to the Underdog Daily channel, formerly the Underdog HQ channel. There's been some light rebranding, but me and the Badge Bros, special guests, we are going to have like a happy hour TGIF type of vibe, looking at battle royales. We'll build some pick'em slips. We'll hop in some dog qualifiers, all that good stuff. But really looking forward to that show. It's going to be called Off and On the Clock as we ease into the weekend, punch out from the work early on a Friday and start drafting teams. Really looking forward to that show every single Friday. Stepfather, what player from your portfolio feels like your biggest W after week 1? That's a good question. I'm so used to being a masochist that I wasn't even victory lapping a lot of stuff here. Let me pull up my exposures and see what actually had me excited yesterday. I will say, like, I was very heavy on that Niners and Commanders, just the entire players on those teams, partly because of the week 17 matchup, but also because of the prices. So I had a ton of Sam Howell, a ton of Brock Purdy. I have a ton of Debo, Ayuk, Dotson, Brian Robinson. I feel really good about that cohort. And even though it was kind of up and down for Sam Howell, we got the full Sam Howell experience, the highs and the lows. I think similar to the Anthony Richardson debut, it was very encouraging there. So I am pretty excited about those guys. Let's see what other exposures here I'm excited about at the top. We will see tonight about Breece Hall and James Cook, right? Because those are two of my drafted running backs. I guess that's why I'm kind of indifferent, because a lot of my most drafted guys haven't even gone. Garrett Wilson, one of my most drafted wide receivers. Excited to see how that plays out. But yeah, I'm more excited about my quarterbacks, Sam Howell and Brock Purdy. I think those guys, my two highest drafted quarterbacks, I think those guys are set up. And I do have a ton of Tua and Tyreek stacks, so that feels good. I think the Dolphins are going to end up being kind of another skeleton key team to this year. So your Reek, your Waddle, and your running backs. I think Mostert for now. I do think eventually A-Chain or another back will have their moment in the sun there. But yeah, those would probably be my favorites. I do have to run. I was letting the time get away from me. I have to go ahead and do Sirius XM here, which I'm doing Mondays, Tuesdays, Wednesdays. Normally there will be a show on Tuesdays with the club. But Andy and Clay got married over the weekend, and they're both going to be on their honeymoon. So no shows next week. So the next time you guys see me not on Sirius XM will be Wednesday for Swolecast at 1:30. And then Thursday we'll have Lowell's and the Ship Chasing Thursday Night Football Watch Party. Again, all of it described in my P.O. Box newsletter. You can sign up for that for free. Appreciate you guys. It's going to be a fun year. We'll hopefully stack up some more W's. We'll continue to eat L's. Calvin Ridley does appear to be on his way to burying me. Love you guys. Have a great rest of